Selamat pagi. Mungkin Anda sudah mendengar kalau kita kedatangan tamu tak diundang. Selamat bekerja. Dan jangan lupa bersenang-senang.
Raid, everybody on the dance floor. Raid, you don't remember that song?
I do not.
You don't remember?
I don't.
Maybe I don't either. Maybe I'm just fucking it all up.
You saw that title and you just got a song in your heart.
And welcome to a couple of cold ones.
No, maybe I'm thinking of the dancing they doing here. Most of it is the dancing of whooping your ass. Which,
or getting killed brutally.
wow, you were really disturbed by that, aren't you, Lynn?
I kind of am. I mean, these are Indonesians, but man, it's one thing. Look, I know you. The idea is to make this place scary. You go like, man, the villains in here, the drug dealers in here, they don't fuck around. But come on, guys, you can pull back a little bit.
Hey.
I could get it.
Hey, look, the raid kills Indonesians dead. All right, that's what it does. That's all it does. It will not stop until you are dead.
They start making this film, and a bunch of Indonesians are like, really?
A bunch of kids are like, what are y'all talking about?
I know, it's funny, like, how many people, I guess, are a little bit more thrilled by the level of violence here, because they wonder to themselves, like, well, it is made in Indonesia, life's probably a little cheaper there.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, how many people did they actually kill?
Yeah, I was about to say,
just because they could afford to.
in the movie, yeah, those weren't actors. Those were real drug dealers that they just murdered down, you know?
And that's what I love about it. It's like that ballsy sense that when you walk into a movie like this and you hear it's made in Indonesia, you're like, okay, somebody's gonna get really fucking hurt. Every scene is gonna like hurt me watching it.
Yeah, no,
sure enough.
It is.
Oh,
it is one of those movies. This one is in Indonesia. Apparently, everyone in the world, everybody knows how to fight some sort of martial arts, except here in America. You know,
I do love that. Like even a low level in Indonesia, even like the popsicle guy, he knows some martial arts.
He has an idea how to fight.
like when they say raid, it's like kids are actually raiding an ice cream truck and fighting off people and shit. They know martial arts all around the world apparently, and then they make these movies because see one thing that needs to be understood. This movie showed at the Toronto Film Festival, and it just blew up after that, at least here in the States, I believe. I don't know the true history of it, but I know that's when I started hearing about critics coming back and saying, God damn, one of the best martial arts movies in the world ever. There ain't no such thing as martial arts until now. Action doesn't exist until now. And everybody seemed to miss that part where they said martial arts. Everybody just heard action. And so, and it's probably because of the premise that they gave you, which is there's this compound. It's like several stories high, a big apartment complex where it's a place where a refuge for all these the worst of society, like thieves, drug dealers, rapers, murderers. If you don't want to be caught by the police and you can pay the right price, then you go and stay in this place and nobody can touch you until they decide that, I guess the local law enforcement, the equivalent of the Indonesian SWAT, decide to pull a raid on this building. And when they get in there, little do they know that the people in this building, especially the kingpin in that building, they know that they're coming. It's all been a trap. So once they get in there, they start killing these guys off, and there's only a handful of people left who have to fight their way back out now. And so a lot of people are thinking, man, this sounds like an amazing action film. But when they go see it, I think it's taken some people by surprise for them to learn that, yes, it is truly a martial arts movie. By martial arts, that means that everybody knows martial arts in this movie.
Yeah, it's a martial arts movie, but I can understand where the action comes in too, because there's a lot of gunplay. There's a lot of amazing gunplay here. And when you see that, I mean, you're floored by it, because when you watch how it's all directed and how it all comes together, I mean, every moment is so intense that, you know, you can't, like the sound of the guns are almost a character in the movie, you know? I mean, it's
starring the sound of the guns.
It is that insane.
And the sound of the guns, new martial arts as well.
Yes, it did. Yeah, and apparently in this world, when you go to school, you learn reading, writing, math,
and kung fu.
Cooking somebody, beating somebody's ass. You know what I mean? It's but it's, what did you think about it, man? Because I know you love this kind of stuff.
I love martial arts films. They're like one of my favorite genres. And certainly the definition of a story in a martial arts film, like what it should be, is like your least consideration when you're making a martial arts film. But that being said, I had no problems at all with what they went to the story. That's one of the more amazing things about The Raid to me, is that I was like, I'm actually kind of into where they're going with this weird twisted betrayals and like secret cabals versus each other plot going on behind the scenes as it builds up as it goes along. But that being said, you know, I mean, that's me just amazed that even exists exists, that they even bothered. Because when you've got the degree of action here, I mean, we're talking like classic Jackie Chan level stunts where people are just doing crazy, oh god, that guy, that guy went to the hospital type of stunts, mixed with like, Ringo Lamb type gunplay, just astonishingly violent and brutal physical action stuff. I mean, guys are getting their heads cut off with machetes. They're getting point blank to the face, like whole gun clips emptied into their heads. I mean, it's insane. And if it was like one of those things that took too long to think about it might get irritating. But it doesn't. It just keeps chugging ahead.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty that the story is so simple. I mean, you can easily look at it and you go, wow, when are they going to make this into a video game? It's that fucking simple. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when you watch it, I mean, you can't help but be reminded of, at least for me, like, I always loved Equilibrium, as far as like that was like is top of the bar you can get with gunfight scenes, and with this, I mean, this put it to a whole nother level. And on top of that, the martial arts that comes in that reminded me of something like the amazing stuff Tony Jaa used to do that you just don't see anymore in films. And knowing that, some director came in and managed to, mix both of those worlds up together in such a simple storyline to where, if you just walk in the middle of the film, you're going to know what's going on. You realize these guys are fucked and they need to find a way to get the fuck out. And that's like the beauty of it. The biggest surprise to me was finding out that the guy who directed it wasn't even Indonesian. He's like some Welsh guy that just came in and
Gareth Evans. Gareth Evans.
Gareth Evans.
Apparently his car broke down in Indonesia. And he saw a lot of people fighting in the street. Like, damn, I gotta pull out my camera and film this.
I know. I was like, I might as well just document this whole fucking craziness that I'm on board for.
For some reason, he's a Welsh guy who lives in Indonesia. Which, your white guy moves to Indonesia. Let's not kid ourselves. 16-year-old prostitutes. But, so sorry to our Indonesian listeners. That's probably totally untrue and unfair of my fault.
Oh, I'm sure Gary Glitter would say, no, you're right, Cyrus.
Exactly.
And not to mention downright creepy, but
but this guy actually, this isn't his first martial arts film. He made a film that was received like really well in 2009 called Marantau that also played Fantastic Fest and a bunch of other festivals, starring this same lead actor from this, a sort of hero character, Iko Uwais.
See, now look, that's what I'm talking about. He discovered this guy. Now, what do you think he did for a living before?
I don't know, he's a 16-year-old prostitute?
Yeah.
All I know he could have been. I didn't really dig that deep.
He started serving ice cream? I
don't really get on the internet and look up 16-year-old
nothing
prostitutes.
about Indonesia.
Our 16-year-old prostitute.
It's not legal till 17.
No, see, now here's the deal. This guy...
It's not hot at 17.
This guy was discovered as a truck driver. But what was he discovered for? Beating people's ass. He knew martial arts. A truck driver knew everybody over there knows martial arts. And I'm looking up what the name of the martial arts is. Right, it's called Pencak Silat, which translates into beating the fuck out of you.
Yeah, no, I think
Silat.
Because if I'm not mistaken, in Indonesia, you find this movie in the romantic comedy section.
That's how badass they are over there. I mean, if you like me, you probably thinking, where in the world can I go to just beat somebody's ass? Indonesia said, no, think again. Every 5-year-old kid will beat your nuts down in Indonesia.
if you had this fantasy of being the Green Hornet someday, you should get an Indonesian valet to be your Kato and let him do all the work.
Oh yeah, go over, I mean, seriously, you want a bodyguard? Go over there and get the janitor. Bring him back over here.
And while you're at it, try to get this guy to direct your movie.
Yeah, but this guy's badass. It was apparently this guy had such a charisma because he was doing a documentary, and he saw this guy, and this guy, I guess, was just beating the shit out of people. Like, hey, man. He's like, hey, well, and he had some charisma too. And I guess the director was like, well, fuck, if you don't beat my ass, I'll put you in a movie. So he got signed on a 5-year contract with this guy's studio, Gareth Evans, which I'm sure was probably with this guy standing over his head, like, give me a contract, but I need job.
Well, the thing is, I actually saw the movie because it's on Netflix right now, the first one that they did together. And when you watch that, it does kind of play out like a typical kind of martial arts film.
It's more standard.
It is definitely more standard. So when you check out The Raid, that motherfucker turned that shit up to 11. I mean, just because there's no. What I loved about it is there is no time wasted during this entire movie.
No.
There's not a moment where you don't see somebody getting their fucking head caved in while watching this.
One of the things they did in here that I thought was so neat that wouldn't have even occurred to me to have. It's so simple, but it makes the whole. It's a essential to this work, and neat that wouldn't have even occurred to me to have it so simple, but it makes the whole, it's essential to this working, is that they cannot leave the building by like rappelling out the windows, because they've set up, the bad guys have set up like snipers with high powered rifles all around the sides of the building. So the moment they even pop their head up near a window, pow! And there's so many cops at first that there's just plenty of room for body count that way alone.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it reminded me a lot of Wreck in the way of it providing you kind of a claustrophobia, especially when you realize, wow, these guys are truly fucked in every sense of the word. Especially when you realize that they all fucking know martial arts, and they're throwing fucking machetes at you and bullets along with that.
Wait, they're fucked in every sense of the word?
The cops are.
But still.
But every sense. Well, I don't think he means every sense of the word. You know, it's like when people say, I literally, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally
Do I
shit
have
my
to explain
pants.
that with you, your dumb ass now,
Did you clean
Cyrus?
that up? It's like, no, I don't know what literally means. But well, actually, one of the, when you, in your description of it, something that you left out that I thought was important is that not everybody in the building is a criminal. You got a lot of people who are just poor and they live there because it's the best they can do.
Actually, they don't have a lot of people. They got one guy.
Well, the others seem to be
the
just
poorest guy in Indonesia who can only afford the place in the most dangerous building in that city.
But the others seem to be laying around like maybe they were drug addicts or they just couldn't find work because it was like, okay, you see them and they're just laying around doing nothing. They're not involved in any criminal activity.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it
they're
is
the
like,
customers,
okay, we have to like silently, you know, very Arkham City take these guys out so they don't ring the alarm.
Right.
But then, you know, once one does, that's when the shit is on.
Well, that's the thing is like the building's filled with scum, but not all of them are martial artsy type scum.
Yeah.
But when the head boss sends a message through the PA system for the building and goes, any guys who take a motherfucking cop out, if you kill a cop, free rent for life.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, even when,
really,
even
this too?
well, I know. Hey, man, if you broke, you're like, shit. I ain't got no money. What am I gonna do?
I wish my place would fucking do that.
Seriously, if my landlord like PA'd in right now and said that about you guys, you'd be dead.
Hey, man.
No, we went.
If it's cops, you have to offer me free rent.
Whatever, co-host, I've seen lots of martial arts films.
Exactly. You've seen them.
exactly.
You haven't lived them like me.
Coast and I would be across the room. You'd be like, I'm gonna get you. Huh? Free rents are coming.
I know.
Oh fuck, man. Never mind.
Just when you thought you were free, my cat would fly across the room.
Okay, now your cat might be the one. Yeah, because
like
right,
a bad Mongo.
right before we set up, Cyrus's cat, because we're recording at your place right now. Your cat, like I don't know how your cat did this, but he did like a kung fu kick past my face. You guys saw that too.
That cat is a master of salat.
That cat thought he was in
Salat
the
tat tat.
Cyrus told him, "Hey, you kill these guys, you get free rent." They're like, hey, wait a minute, I don't pay rent anyway. but you know what? The cool thing about this film is that I think why people are saying this is one of the best action movies they've seen in years is because the choreography, the cinematography, all the sequences. Everything moves so fast. I did not fart. I don't know what that was. Did you hear that?
I did not.
Whatever, dude.
The charge.
Light a match. I did not fart, but did somebody light my cigarette?
No, that was the cat. But no, everything moves so fast. And this is what I've always said. What makes a great action and martial arts movie to me is if the fight scenes can just keep going for more than just 2 punches or 3 punches or 2 kicks.
Yeah.
If they can keep the camera going, all the momentum of the scenes, they heighten. And there is never a moment where this movie takes a real breather. None. I mean, and even when it does, there's some level of suspense that's being set up in the story. So
Yeah, that's when it takes a moment to actually say, oh yeah, we have a plot, and here's an important thing. And you're like, wow, that's actually pretty interesting.
Well, before you get to listen to it, then you get a fucking punch in the head. You go, boom!
Well, yeah, they're like, and now back to our previously kicking ass sequence.
yeah, no, it's
But you're right, though. I mean, that is the thing. Like, you can't help but notice, especially like when you're done watching it, and you just stop to think about how the action is so fluid, and how you can actually see it as chaotic and extreme as it is. The camera really finds a way of capturing every movement to where you can really be impressed by the moves that, especially the lead guy. or what's his name?
Iko
Uwais. Yeah, apparently he just
fucked it up. You sound like Dolomite.
But
when that Thunder the Barbarian sidekick.
yeah, he starts in the movie as well. Yeah.
the mock.
But the guy did all the choreography with, I want to say, it was one of the guys. I can't remember if it was one of the villains or the guy who played his brother. But these guys worked on this movie and the one before. But when you see them like do their thing, the camera really captures it so well.
Well, yeah, because
you can't
there are
help
moments,
but soak it in. Yeah.
Well, like there are moments when people are running up on somebody. And the camera follows that person. I mean, you almost see that foot kick in the chest, because the camera's like focused on the feet. I mean, it really is. There's moments when cameras are focused on limbs, just sliding across the room. It really is. It's like watching a ballet of violence most of the time.
It is, and it's some of the most inventive violence as far as like how they end up like getting rid of these guys. Where you just it's almost like, okay, like when you watch a Friday the 13th movie, how creative can they get when they get to the kills? And this movie gets really goddamn creative.
But yet we have
in
a
great
naysayer
way.
in this room right now.
Where is he?
Oh, who?
Let's string him up.
I'm gonna get my salat ready.
That's an excellent idea.
This shit will not stand. I'm tired of this.
Who's with me?
We have a fox in the hen house.
Who is this asshole?
No, my man Leon over here.
What?
I walked in.
What'd I
and
do?
He was saying, I don't know, man. Everybody's blowing my mailbox up, telling me about this movie and how great it is. I just don't see it.
Is that true?
I said, you know what? I said, I'm not gonna really say nothing because man, if Cyrus, a co-host, is here, you say that, you might as well be dead.
Your kung fu is no good here.
Well, I understand the need to exaggerate things for the show because it makes for good radio. Whatever.
Makes for good telegraph.
Hey, on radio, we have a review for the read.
That's an expression. Good radio.
Welcome to WLEON.
But
So what'd you think?
I liked the movie. I thought it was really well done, and I agree with every point you guys are making. My only problem was like the way it was presented to me. Because one, having my email and messages blow up. Have you seen The Raid? This is a fantastic movie. This is the best movie. It's highly rated. I didn't even know what it was about. Mm-hmm. So I went in. I was like, oh, it's a shoot 'em up. It's an action movie. All right, that's cool. I can go. I'm surprised everybody went nuts over this. We've seen plenty of these. It is well done. God damn, this is brutal shit. But it's so suspenseful and intense. It kind of reminded me of Point Blank for a while. But what's shocking is like it's all gunplay up until a point. Then the martial arts come in, and I had no idea. I was just like, wait a minute. They're putting down their guns to do kung fu.
Well, they ran out of bullets.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. I mean, honestly, I just had a disconnect when it had that switch. Like suddenly, when kung fu was brought in, I was just like, "Well, okay, I thought this was a action gun movie, and now they're." Why would you kick somebody when you got guns? But all right, whatever.
You did hear what Cyrus said. They ran out of bullets.
Also, and I'll just say this.
I'm just telling you how I felt at the time I watched it.
I mean, this is all right. You were joking earlier, Corey, about like, oh, everybody knows martial arts in Indonesia, which is obviously, well, hopefully not true because that's pretty
I
frightening.
think you're gonna say that's racist.
But in the context of action films, you know what? It's just a trope, really. It's like one of those things. Like maybe not everybody does, but a startling amount of people do, and you just go with it. You can't think too much about it.
Hey, man, and I mean, I was able to go with it, but at first, my first thought was, this is silly. That suddenly every goddamn body knows is a kung fu master.
Everybody was
this whole
kung
building.
fu fighting.
It's like to join this gang. I mean, you know how to cook meth. That's cool, and you're good with a gun. But if you can't break a board with your hand, then you can't join us.
Now, see, let me tell you something. I brought that up, and I brought it up in the way that I did because I do agree with you on that.
Okay.
Because listen, this scenario makes for some of my favorite movies. Like there's this movie, a Walter Hill movie from a long time ago with
Last
Bill
Man
Paxton.
Standing?
No, Bill Paxton. It was Trespass.
Oh yeah.
And then I of course love that segment of Full Metal Jacket where those guys are trapped by the sniper.
Yeah.
I love that whole scenario of guys not being able to come out by enemy seen and unseen. And this premise to me took out what I love, or not this premise, but this being a martial arts movie took out what I love about those films. The suspense of how we're going to get out. I mean, once everybody's doing like martial arts. Everybody's doing, you know, kung fu fighting and beating each other up. I'm thinking, okay, I'm not really feeling the suspense anymore. Now it's just a martial arts movie with cool fight scenes. The story is, it's kind of silly to me now. Doesn't mean the movie's bad. It's just that where I thought it was going to be more tense from watching these guys struggling to get out, I'm like, oh well, now I'm just waiting to see the next very cool fight scene.
Okay, well, see, that is 100% exactly how I felt.
But you're still wrong. For some
When I say it, I'm wrong. But that was it.
It seems like a very minor nitpick.
No. It's not a minor nitpick at all, because he's right. It was one movie that was an intense movie about a crime movie about, man, how are these cops going to get out of this situation? They're in a trap. It's all about escaping a trap. And then once martial arts are brought in, especially where everybody knows martial arts, it's a different movie at that point. It's not like I don't like it. I don't think it's bad, but I stopped taking it as seriously as I did.
I would agree with your logic if the situation that was going on, I guess if there were more characters to be involved in that situation, to where it's like, wow, okay, that it's hard to kind of explain it without spoiling it. But I think the movie changed tones as soon as you realize, like, oh man, you know, it sucks what happened to these guys, because, you know, they're pretty much rookies in a sense.
Yeah.
Except you have the one fucking guy who they didn't count on. And I think as soon as his storyline picks up from the suspense of it, and when they introduce something else, it really got me hooked, because I'm like, okay, wow, this is a guy that's in a shitty situation, and how he's going to deal with it, and, you know, what is going to be the outcome. I mean, because there are moments where, you know, the good guys in this movie, they're getting the shit kicked out of them, where it is one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe this is so crazy and so out there that, you know, this guy he's probably not going to walk away with all his limbs. You know, there's no telling. But that's kind of what got me really captivated into it, just because I fell in love with the hero of the movie, where I was rooting for him.
I thought that the actual context of the situation, the suspense level of it, kept with me despite the martial arts. I mean, I didn't think there was anything weird about it, considering we knew that's what we were there for to some level. And I thought, remarkably, like I started with the first question you asked me, what did I think about it? Well, I thought the remarkable thing is that they did, in fact, keep that plot going and interesting and suspenseful. It's like having a badass sandwich and really enjoying it, but then the waitress comes over and goes, we totally forgot to bring you your fries. And they're like the best fries ever. You don't resent those fries. It's not like the sandwich is any less good because the fries are awesome.
Okay, Cyrus loves fries.
Yeah, but maybe you're on the Atkins diet and you can't have fries, and that's just like, wow, you just brought me something I can't even eat.
No, fuck that. I was totally stoned when they brought me that sandwich.
Hey, look, because I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you guys are wrong. I'm just saying this is how it came across to me. This is how I processed it. And actually, besides the hero, there was another character that I really did care about, even before the full story got developed. Even I was just like, you know what? I feel for every one of these rookies who is in this situation, who got led into this. This is some bullshit.
And got led into them.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yes, thank you.
To me, it was just it's a great movie that had the elements I enjoyed before be overcome by other elements that I don't like as much as what I was originally watching, where I was on an emotional level. Now I'm like, well, all right, this is great action.
Would you like a side salad instead?
No, I'll take the fries, man. They sound really good. I heard they're the best fries ever. No, but it's in. Let's not also forget the fact, and we've mentioned it, but it should be emphasized how much this is just shy of a horror movie almost, with all the gore.
Yeah.
It's so dark and brutal.
It's gory. I mean, it's incredibly gory, and that's another thing that I didn't really expect. Like Coles was saying, there's just limbs being lost and people's heads being bashed
People
in.
are eviscerated. Their guts are coming out.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, it really is on an insane level of violence. And, you know, like I said, that's just emotionally took me out the movie. But there are a few characters that surprised me later on, in spite of all that gore and violence. I mean, the henchmen of the kingpin of that place. I mean, they surprised me with as much character as they had later on in the movie. Especially one generic-looking old short-ass henchman that he had, who ended up being kind of a badass.
Yeah, he's the guy you got to fight at the end of the game.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's that boss where you think, oh, this is nothing, and he ends up like taking you 2 days to fucking beat this game.
It's like one of those movies I always wait for. You know, for sometimes I have to wait 5 years, sometimes I have to wait 10 years for somebody to like kind of reinvent it in a way and raise that bar to the next level where you're like, wow, where really can you go? For me, like this movie did what Cabin in the Woods did to me, where it's like, wow, it took a genre that you're really familiar with, but where Cabin in the Woods took it to a place where you really didn't see so much of this, even though it was familiar. They managed to raise the bar by doing almost the same shit, and I think that occurred to me when I realized there's a great scene where I'm like, wow, you know what? I'm rooting for the bad guy right now.
You know what? I will say this, man.
I'm like, I've never done that in a movie where I'm really rooting for a bad guy.
It did. See, when you mentioned that, it did take me back to the day when everybody was talking about the introduction of Hong Kong cinema to America, and I had never had that feeling since. You remember watching Jackie Chan movies and John Woo movies?
John Woo, you're right.
Back when they were like first infiltrating America and they were underground things, and your friends would introduce you to them and be like, fuck, man, who are these people? They are not from this planet.
Yeah, Ong Bak was like the perfect example.
Yeah. Well, and then, years later, I'm getting that same feeling like, who the fuck are these? These are not human beings.
Yeah.
There was a sizable break in martial arts films between like the early Jackie Chan stuff when they were doing stunts that were like where everybody was doing crazy stunts and the action was so fast, because like they reached a point before too long into them. By the time they really came over here with like Rumble in the Bronx, it was like too much plot. Get back to the action.
Yeah.
Because the stories are not terribly good.
Yeah.
And the John Woo stuff that was just so crazy brutal, like Hard Boiled and The Killer, and everything just kind of felt like they started being more about style than about the action. And it wasn't till just recently with Thai and Indonesian action films that we're actually seeing that style of martial arts films full on come back.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're more intense in those other films. They're just more bloody than those other
I know
films.
that there's people who are saying, now don't forget about movies like movies that amaze me, at least. I know somebody's out there yelling, well, what about things like Chocolate? One about the little girl.
That's a Thai film.
But I'm just saying, you had this.
No, wait, maybe it's Korean.
It's a martial arts movie with incredible stunts. I mean, these people are injuring themselves for their art. And I mean, when you see a person fall on that camera, hit his head, he really fell and hit his head. And you know what? They show you after the movie, like, yeah, he's hurt. And guess what? He'll be back tomorrow to do this again.
And the thing I love,
his family wants to eat.
But
He'll be back tomorrow.
They don't stop, man. But movies like that, what I'm trying to say here is that while they had these incredible scenes and some of them are just amazing, this one really had it going on and on and on. I just never seen it like repeated, like one scene after another. I mean, this whole movie is just one big ass.
Each scene manages to top itself.
Yeah.
I think the only way to top this is to go to an even smaller, poorer Asian country.
They just pay them to beat the shit out of each other.
There's going to be some little island that most globes don't even have because it's too small. And that's where you're going to find your next badass martial arts who do shit that nobody else. They'll pour gasoline on themselves, set themselves on fire, and run into a crowded building.
After this movie, you can't help but think, okay, wow, who's going to top this movie now? I mean, who is really going to top this guy?
Well, probably.
I will.
Yeah, we're going to throw you off a building.
It's going to be the Banda Aceh of cinema. That's what's going to do it.
Probably the same people because they're already working on the Raid 2 right now.
Well, I was going to say, like, don't. As much as I wanted to say, look, there's some news that I know that I don't even want to tell anybody.
No. I'm not giving specifics. Just that the director is coming back and making a sequel to this right now.
Okay.
So it's going to be at the end of the apocalypse. It'll be a bigger building.
No, wait a minute. Aren't
We're fighting cyborgs.
Aren't they even trying to get the same director to do an American remake?
Okay, no,
they're
check
talking
this
about
out.
that as well.
Because I looked all this up and I was talking back and forth to a friend, Hyde, about it. Okay, now apparently, yes, they are going to make a sequel. The funny thing is that the sequel was actually the script for the sequel was actually made before this movie. So they originally planned the sequel to be a big budget. They couldn't afford it. So they had this idea of burning in the back where they're like, you know what? Let's just make this one first. Because right now they're already writing the third movie for this. Wow. And there is going to be an American sequel. But this guy is not going to be involved with it.
A remake.
A remake, yes.
This guy's not going to be involved?
No, not at all.
Yeah, the
not
sequel, from what I hear, takes place in a prison. So same concept, but in a prison. I'm like, okay, want to see that. I'm in.
Yeah.
Bring
so
it.
And that's the thing. I'm like, wow, I'm going to be really like just anticipating it because that's the thing. I think it's also going to be like something like almost a hindrance for this guy because it's like, how are you going to top the Raid? I mean,
this is already slightly remastered for the American audiences because it was just called The Raid and now they're calling it The Raid Redemption.
I don't even understand how redemption
where's
plays
the
into
redemption
this story.
part?
well, that's where I'm assuming that's where the sequels start to.
Well, when you
play
think about
in
it,
with
towards the
title.
end, with the stuff we can't talk about in the plot, and who one of the characters who's the criminal is, and what his relationship is to one of the people who is the cops.
If you really
and
think about it,
how all
makes
that
sense.
plays out, it does in fact make
It
sense.
makes sense, but it's a long stretch. Just
Yeah.
call it the
Well,
raid.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
Loosely.
I don't. Maybe there was some other film called The Raid that they would have had to pay money to.
That's
I don't know.
possible.
But
Yeah.
either way, it doesn't really matter. The main thing that's changed is that they've added totally different music to this, which I actually really enjoyed.
I did too.
And I was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who had seen it wherever else it had played. I think Toronto, where it didn't have that. And he's like, "So, what'd you think of it? Was the music okay?" I thought it was kind of a weird question to ask. I was like, "Yeah, I thought it was pretty kick-ass." He's like, "Ha ha! It's by Linkin Park."
Yeah.
yeah,
It's by one guy from Linkin Park and somebody else.
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's made by a guy who lives in Lincoln. I think it's made by a guy who lives in Lincoln Park.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the funny thing is they're trying to get him to do the American version.
Well, they should, man.
They're
The
trying to
music
get him to
didn't. The
do it.
music didn't bother me at all.
No,
It was
I
okay.
enjoyed it. Worked for me.
You know, yeah. I will say that, you know, despite all my whatever it seems like complaints, they're not major. I mean, the movie still entertained me just in a different way than I expected, and maybe it wasn't as deep. But damn, you know, I was amazed. I had a lot of fun with this, but I was like, wow. I mean, like I said, when I see these people doing this, I just know that somebody's arm is broken by the end of this. I know that's real. You know?
Somebody's fucking dead. Yeah.
I know this is these are the kind of movies where we do CG for this. You know, we create fake people. Oh, we show this to American stuntman. They're like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
They start crying.
Which is
Fuck
why I'm
these
worried
people.
about this American remake, because it's funny how you can watch a movie like this and then you can go back to the action martial arts movies that we do, which is very far and few between these days. And when you watch it, you're like, oh, this is like watching like Mortal Kombat. And when you really go back, it's like, wow, everyone is kicking really slow.
We need to like hire homeless people here to like fight each other in these movies.
Wait, they got to take off their Wi-Fi hubs and now they got to fight.
Yeah,
on film?
we give them clubs and bats and like teach them how to kick. You
I
know,
say we set him on fire and just have some guy kick him off a building.
Why don't we just film bum fights in HD?
we saw how good that was. So
Yeah.
there you go, man. Hey, look, you know, you got to get really desperp poor people to fight each other.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that played Fantastic Fest. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bum fight. You just throw like real weapons in there. Here's a bunch of axes and hammers. Now
Let it go out and
for
get yourself a nice Hollywood camera and just film that shit from different angles.
And
get yourself a different homeless person when they kill each other off. Ain't nobody gonna know the difference.
Every once in a while, throw some food in there. To mix it up.
It's not as fun when everybody's doing drunken style.
I think it is. I bet you differ on that. Yeah, that's a real Jackie Chan shit right there, man. Nah, you know what, man? I'll just can we move on to the
Do
ratings?
it,
You want to?
move on.
Okay, all right.
What do you
Yeah.
give it?
Man, I tell you what, this is seriously, this is Die Hard with a kick to the balls, man. It's amazing. I will. It reminds me where I said it, where it didn't really capture the suspense of those movies like Trespass and that other movie, Full Metal Jacket, or even something like, was it Rio Bravo, where they were caught in a prison and.
well,
Which movie was that? Which Western was that? It's a really good Western, and they're caught in the prison.
Cyrus, I watched it with you over here.
You
It's a
did?
John Wayne movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're trying. I can't remember if it was Rio Bravo or not.
All these movies are a
remember.
little more character driven. This reminded me of something more like Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The original John Carpenter, where
Right.
it's silly because all the gang members they're pretty much zombies.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Pretty
with
much,
guns.
yeah.
I mean, they don't
There's no
care.
real character to them.
No,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. It's a lot of fun, and that's what this is. I mean, there's no way that you cannot look at this and just humbly get down on your knees and respect the craftsmanship that went on in this movie. Plus, this movie will beat the fuck out of you if you don't. So, I walked out of this film with a neck brace on and my arm in a cast. You know, my little headband on. Yeah, this movie it really did beat my senses to death, man. And full price.
And now you have no more senses. And
I didn't
we can
have any
hold
to
that
begin with.
we can hold that against you in future reviews.
Now I got an
Here
excuse.
Says you got no sense. Yeah, I agree with you absolutely. This is a full price film. Word of warning though, because there's so many different types of martial arts films. Do you people out there who saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and think you love all martial arts films? You don't. I love that film too, but that's it might as well not even be the same genre. It's so different.
Yeah.
And for people who like, films like The Expendables, which just wait, like The Raid 2 or The Raid remake, early production, it'll probably end up being The Expendables 3 is what it'll be.
Don't say
instead.
that.
Yeah,
I'm just
please,
saying,
do not say that.
somebody's going to show
The boy's
this.
not
Don't give
wrong.
him any ideas.
Somebody's
all
going to show this to Sly, and he'll be like, "Oh, why don't we just do that?" It's not a traditional American style. I mean, it really is a martial arts film, but one that is as hardcore and bloody as any that's ever been made, if
Yeah.
not the bloodiest. I can't think of one offhand that's bloodier than this. So, yeah, full price, but you got to know that this is going to be your kind of movie to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key because just me going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I wouldn't even know it was going to be an action movie. I was just like, all right, this must be some intense drama or something psychological. But yeah, it is more like Assault on Precinct 13, mostly action, which I loved, which was more just not even just action, just the intensity of it. I mean, as I've said before, it's just when the martial arts came in, it threw me. You know, no pun intended, Cyrus.
Stop.
Yeah, don't even.
I thought you were making. I was going to celebrate you. Toast my glass to you. One of us.
And the fact that everybody suddenly knew martial arts, you know, it threw me off a little bit. Still, every point you guys have made about this movie is spot on, and I don't argue against any of it. I just think it might not be everybody's thing, but if you're into this, you're gonna absolutely love it. And while I'm not as big of a fan of all martial arts movies like you guys, I still give it a low full price.
Wow. I mean, does it take a genius to imagine what I'm going to give it?
Well,
I
let
mean,
me see.
I know.
It's either-
Well, you only have 2 ratings.
It's
which is
either
better than
some
sex
old
or
bullshit or better than sex. Maybe not in a fuck you, but you know, the words matinee and rental have been taken out of your vocabulary, apparently.
No, I mean, this is one of those movies where I was really going back and forth as far as like full price and better than sex. And the thing is that I also have to really take in the experience I had sitting in that theater and watching it and watching every frame of this movie go by, just literally with my eyes like glued to the screen and my robot jaw open. So I mean,
Once again, literally.
Yeah.
Glued to the screen.
Literally,
How could
yeah.
you even watch the movie?
It's Indonesian.
I don't have
3D.
eyelids, dumbass. Yeah.
It's Indonesian 3D. They can't afford the technology, so they just super glue your eyes to the screen. It's awesome.
So, and I know everyone is like, oh, you know what? Go fuck yourself. All right. I don't become the person who I am. Listen to what you fucking tell me. So, you know, fuck all you guys. I'm giving this
Or what anyone does.
I mean, a better than sex. Only because, yeah, this has raised the bar on a film dealing with martial arts and gunplay, like the most amazing, like intense gunplay I've seen in a movie in a long time. And I was completely just taken back by the story of how simple it was and how engaging they made it. And you know, I have to salute the guy who directed this. I mean, I'm really like I'm gonna keep my eyes out on this guy's work, obviously. So we got 2 more
I'm
movies to
gonna study
look.
this guy. Follow him.
We got 2.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
stalk
and
him.
you know, and you just hope a guy like this doesn't fail. You know. So yeah, it's. I mean, I was spitting teeth out when I got out of
Well,
theater,
because
so
you were super
definitely.
glued to the screen.
And some of those kicks came through.
feeling that pounding in my fucking head.
Yeah, do not watch. You have a point though. Do not watch this movie in 3D in Indonesia because they just bring a guy into the theater to beat the shit out of you. You don't need glasses. You don't need glasses.
So realistic.
How was the movie? I don't know. I got run over by a truck while I was sitting in there.